All right. We are ready to rock and roll. Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ramonepreston Show. If you are joining me live on this beautiful Thursday, August the 3rd, 2023, I want you to hit the like button, hit the share button, tag Lolly Dolly, everybody, and let them know your boy, Ramonepreston, my squad, downstairs. We are here live in the beautiful Buckhead community of Atlanta. And you, my friends, are watching the Ramonepreston Show. Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Let's make sure that we are, we have our, let's see here. Are we updated on here? Let me make sure we got an updated stream. How's everybody doing on this beautiful, beautiful Thursday? This is the day that the Lord has made. We are rejoicing and we are glad in it. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Ramonepreston Show. Again, put in the comments what city you're watching me from. If you are a student in any of our training programs, if you're a mentee or a client in any of our programs, please let the world know by putting in the comments who you are and where you are and what you're actually doing in our community, whether it's our ministry community, our business community, or both. I want to know who you are, where you're at, and what you're doing. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Ramonepreston Show. For those of you that don't know, every Monday through Friday, 12 o'clock noon, we come here live to share information with you, particularly about business, entrepreneurship, financial literacy, systems, processes, wealth building. I mean, to essentially show you how to properly start, structure, and scale any business. So if you're an entrepreneur, the Ramonepreston Show is like perfect for you, especially if you love watching video content on social media, especially YouTube. We have a couple thousand videos on YouTube alone, and a lot of those videos are lessons about holding companies, how to start them and structure them, about systems, processes, sales, marketing, financial literacy, creative tax strategies, all the things that I've learned as an entrepreneur to get to where I am. I package it in the form of content, in the form of courses, and I provide services as a business coach and consultant to help you along the way. So it doesn't matter if you're a startup business, a solopreneur, you just got a job and you want to do something on the side as a little hustle. The information that I share can help you along the way. So today I wanted to talk to you about the top 3 things to learn about holding companies. The top 3 things to learn about holding companies. I talk a lot, period. Let me just pause right there. I talk a lot, period. I run my mouth all day, every day. I love to talk. So I make no excuses and I make no apologies for the fact that I like to run my mouth. I got the gift of gab. I'm a preacher. I love to talk. I love to share information with people. So I'm going to talk anyway. But I love to talk about business, especially when it comes to properly starting and structuring your business using concepts like the holding company so that you can leverage all your ideas and so that you can scale your business to get to where you want to go. And so today I want to talk about the top 3 things to learn about holding companies. The top 3 things to learn about holding companies. So if you want to learn about holding companies, if you are interested in holding companies, if you have a holding company or are preparing to start a holding company, we're going to share with you today the top 3 things that you definitely want to learn, you want to know, and you want to have a lot of information on. But before I do, I want to remind you of something I shared yesterday. Yesterday, if you watched the show, I was sharing with you common names, household names that people all around the world are familiar with. Johnson & Johnson, that's one, or SC Johnson, JP Morgan, Kroger, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, and I just added a little flair here with the name Ramonepreston. And my question to you when I showed you these names, because this ties into what I'm talking about today, these top 3 things to learn about holding companies. What I was sharing with you about these names is that they all have something in common. The one thing all these names have in common is all of these names are representative of holding companies. Johnson & Johnson is a holding company. JP Morgan is a holding company. Kroger is a holding company. Goldman Sachs is a holding company. Morgan Stanley is a holding company. And guess what? Ramonepreston is a holding company. But these are household names. I ain't talking about my name, because if you don't know me, you don't know me. But most people in the world know about these names. The one thing they all have in common is they are holding companies. Now, let me share with you the top 3 things to learn about holding companies, okay? The first thing that you should make a priority to learn about holding companies is asset management. Why is asset management important for you to learn when it comes to a holding company? Because if you start and structure a holding company, a LLC, and you want to use it as a holding company, meaning that you're going to use this company to put other companies under it. You have other subsidiaries that you want to put under it because you have multiple business ideas that you want to launch, and you don't want to personally own all these businesses. You want to own a holding company that owns all these businesses so that they can become 100% wholly owned subsidiaries. If that's the approach that you want to take for business, the thing that you have to learn first is that you are virtually an asset manager. You're not just an entrepreneur trying to sell a product or provide a service when you use this type of complex structure. You don't have to be a millionaire to use this structure. You could be a startup, a solopreneur. You could be a W-2 employee who's transitioning into entrepreneurship. I've got students and I've got clients that range from people who are on fixed incomes to stay-at-home parents, all the way to people who are full-time business owners, ministers, who wake up every day serving people and running their business. So I have people that I work with every day on each side of that spectrum. And I tell all of them the same, whether you are a stay-at-home parent just wanting to look for a side hustle, or whether you are a full-fledged business owner waking up every day running your business. If you use a complex structure like the holding company structure, you don't want to just have the mindset of a laborer or a business operator or just an entrepreneur who's looking to make a couple dollars. You have to develop the mindset of an asset manager. This is one of the most important things, the top 3 things that you have to learn regarding holding companies. Now, what are the benefits of you learning more about asset management regarding your holding company? Well, one of the benefits to learning more about asset management as a holding company owner is that you learn how to accumulate things and integrate them into this ecosystem, into this business system or enterprise, so that you can continue to increase the value of this enterprise. So when you learn about asset management regarding holding companies, your benefit from that, or the results from that, will allow your company as a whole to have more revenue and will have more market or enterprise value. That's the goal. Because remember, when you're building a complex structure that has multiple entities under it as an umbrella, you as the asset manager can't just be thinking about how can I sell a product or how can I provide a service. No, you got to start thinking like an asset manager. You got to start thinking about how can I increase the market value, the enterprise value of this organization. How can I take the assets that I have in my life personally, professionally, financially, and how can I integrate them all into this whole business ecosystem that may be multiple business operations so that I can increase the value to do the things that I want to do. See, most entrepreneurs already have the ingenuity to do a lot of things. Most entrepreneurs have the creativity. Most entrepreneurs have the drive. Most entrepreneurs have the ambition. Like when you're an entrepreneur, you already got the intangible stuff. So for people who always want to trash and bash entrepreneurs, I'm telling you, entrepreneurship is what keeps this country going. It's what keeps the world moving the way it is, because entrepreneurs are very creative, aggressive, risk takers. They're the ones who help us do what we do every day in this world, whether it's eat, sleep, drive, travel. It's all embedded in entrepreneurship. So I love entrepreneurs. I love those who are willing to take the risk. But I also want you as an entrepreneur to elevate your mind to start learning about things that can give you more leverage and wiggle room to not just keep doing what you do as a go-getter, as a hustler, a grinder, as an entrepreneur, but to show you how to maximize your ideas and opportunities. And asset management is one of the top things you need to learn about holding companies. A holding company is essentially an asset management company because it's holding assets. It's controlling assets. And of course, there are so many different assets. I have a course inside of my Millionaire Blueprint that I think I identify maybe 30 different assets that are common and creative, things that you can use that you might not be thinking about. But again, asset management, without going deep into it, for your holding company is about you accumulating assets, number one. So there's an accumulation phase of your asset management. There's an integration phase, so that when you start accumulating assets, you start figuring out, oh, this is an asset to my business. This could be an asset to my business. That could be an asset. When you start accumulating them, then you have to accumulate them and integrate them. You got to insert them, integrate them into the holding company or into the respective entity or subsidiary that's under it, so that you can go from accumulation, integration to valuation, so that you can start increasing the valuation, the value of not just your holding company, but your operating companies. And again, this can get a little sticky and a little muddy. So without us going too far in it, just understand that to learn about holding companies, you have to learn about asset management, because you don't want to just start a holding company like a lot of people do. Then they start subsidiaries under the holding company, and then they sit at home trying to figure out, okay, so what do I do now? Well, what you have to do now is learn to be an asset manager. You got to manage these assets of these 3 or 4 entities. And you have to get creative in how you're doing it, especially when you ain't got a lot of money, a lot of capital, credit lines, you ain't got a lot of sales. You got to figure out creative ways to do it, okay? Number 2, the second thing you need to learn about holding companies is, and this is my personal, this is just things that I feel like personally give you the biggest bang for your buck when you setting up multiple entities, okay? So the second thing is creative tax strategies. And again, I am not a tax strategist. I'm an entrepreneur who works with tax strategists. So if you ask me about the sophisticated legal side of tax strategies, or anything that has to do with the structuring of these entities, I'm going to tell you, first and foremost, go to your lawyer or find a lawyer that you could go to, and go to your CPA or find a CPA. I'm going to always recommend that because I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a CPA. I'm an entrepreneur who pays lawyers and CPAs to help me understand what I need to do. And they do a lot of the things that I don't understand, to the extent, just for the record, y'all, to the extent that I was on a Zoom call yesterday with a young lady who was asking me some questions. I'm just showing you how straight up I am with people. I was on a Zoom call. The young lady was asking me questions about the holding company and what she needed to do, directions she needed to go, a lot of questions. And one of her questions was about filing her taxes. And she mentioned something about the Schedule C and how does that apply to the business and all that. And I'm like, listen, I don't even know where the Schedule C go at. I know nothing about that because I'm not a tax person. And I was explaining to her, all I know is what I know about managing my QuickBooks account and making sure that I stay on top of my income, my expenses, my cash flow. I understand the financial activities that I need to understand on a day-to-day basis as an entrepreneur. When there are things that come up that I don't understand, or when there are business decisions that I want to make that may have creative implications for the purpose of lowering my taxes and maximizing my profits or my deductions, I make sure I run that through my tax person. So I'm just letting y'all know now, I don't claim to be the tax guy or the legal guy. I'm the entrepreneur guy. But I learn from these people that I work with, and the things that I learn, I share with my community. So when I use terms like creative tax strategies, for me, I'm referring to a series of things that you might be doing on a day-to-day basis as an entrepreneur who runs and controls and understands your financial activities, things that you're doing, a series of things that you do on a day-to-day basis to give you the ability to lower your tax liability and increase your profitability. But all of those things that relate to this especially need to be vetted by your CPA. So everything that I do in my business, we track it in our QuickBooks. In whatever QuickBooks account we tracking those activities. My CPA has access to those activities so they can look and see what I'm doing. If it's something that's, labeled or categorized the wrong way or worded the wrong way, or if it's something that we put in there and we thought it was this and it ain't that, they correct that for us. They say, hey, that's not what that can be. That makes no sense. Or that is this, or this is that. So you want these professionals. I call these people, I call this your credibility kit. Every business owner needs a credibility kit. That means you need a list of people who are credible, reputable, professional, experts in the areas that you do business with, so that you don't have to be bombarded with all that stuff. You need to be focusing on running the business, generating sales, especially if you have multiple entities, managing the assets of these entities. But creative tax strategies is one of the top 3 things you have to learn. And again, when I say learn, you're not going to learn tax law as an entrepreneur. If you want to, that's you. You're not going to learn all the nuances. I'm not talking about learn how to file your own taxes and learn the tax laws and study them. If that's what you want to do as an entrepreneur, go ahead. I'm not talking about those things to learn. I'm talking about learning how to use QuickBooks, learning the basic business accounting practices as an entrepreneur, learning how to track your income and expenses, learning how to forecast, meaning that you're learning to stay on top of your financial activity so that you have an idea of what your potential tax liability is at any given time. Staying on top of your financials and your books, knowing how to, calculate mathematically the money you got coming in, the money you got going out, the deals that you do, the real cash that's collected, weighing that against your tax liability. These are all some of the basic things on the surface that give you more understanding on how those tax strategies work. But a lot of the more sophisticated things, you're going to need to run that through and vet that with a real professional. But that's the second thing, okay? Number 3, the third thing you need to learn about holding companies is what I like to call I'm going to just abbreviate it, CCE. That's the third thing, CCE, consulting, coaching, and education. I can't stress it enough to the people I work with on a day-to-day basis. I can't stress it enough. If you have a holding company, number 1, you're an asset manager. If you have a holding company with multiple entities under that holding company, number 2, you're going to have to learn creative tax strategies to implement them, meaning that these multiple entities and the activities throughout these entities should be helping you create strategies and business activities that are either deductible or, like non-taxable. So it's a list of things that your business entity should be doing to help you when it comes to your taxes, okay? But the third top thing you need to learn about holding companies is, how do I use this type of entity to provide top-level consulting, coaching, and education? Because remember, if you consult people, if you coach, if you educate, if you do any of those things, you are actually providing a service based on intellectual property, IP. Now, if you set your holding company structure up correctly, one of the assets that you're going to integrate into your holding company would be IP, intellectual property. So if you're providing a service of consulting, coaching, or education, curriculum, copyrights, these are all assets that would be held by and should be owned by your holding company, but these are the same assets that you could be using to provide these services to clients that you work with. And while you're on the come up, building a brand, building a client base, building a lead base, getting momentum to get recognition in the marketplace, you could actually run this through your holding company. So these are the top 3 things that I would say definitely you need to learn. Now, if you're watching today's show and you have any questions about holding companies, asset management, creative tax strategies, consulting, coaching, or education, or if you have questions on how can you take these things, learn them, and utilize them in your business, if you have any questions on them, I want you to reach out to me. We have courses and programs that we offer to our students and mentees on all of these topics. We have courses to teach you the basics of asset management regarding holding companies. We teach you how to integrate, how to accumulate assets, integrate them into your ecosystem, and how to start simulating valuations to increase the market value and the enterprise value of your business. We have a course on the basics of creative tax strategies from the perspective of an entrepreneur who has learned a lot of these things from the experts. I'm not the expert, but I'm showing you from the perspective of an entrepreneur and the things that I've learned working with a tax strategist, working with CPAs. What are the things that I've learned and I've figured out to help make my business better, because it lowered my taxes, it maximized my profits, it gave me creative ways to find deductions or to execute non-taxable events. All these things play a big role in you getting where you want to go in your business, not just in net worth and valuation, but in real revenue. And then we also have a whole entire program to show you how to build your own consulting, coaching, and educational company. So if you have any questions on those topics and you just need to speak to me, I want you to reach out to me today. Let me see if I can pull up the information. There it is. You can text the word holding to 678-276-8253. What we're offering this week, tomorrow will be the last day for this offer. We're offering a free complimentary business assessment. So what that means is you could text the word holding to that number. We're going to reach back out to you, and we're going to schedule maybe a 10, 15-minute window to answer any questions you have to assess your business, where you are, where you want to go. If you have questions on what you need to do to get there, what information and resources you need access to, we can help you identify with all that. So all you have to do is text holding to 678-276-8253, and tomorrow will be the last day the offer will be available. And I was going to say, I promise you, I'm not going to make a promise that it will end tomorrow, but I'm planning and preparing strongly for it to end tomorrow because we got too much going on to be doing that every day, every week. So it's not going to be in perpetuity. It's not an evergreen offer. So you could be watching this video and it's December. It's a whole nother year. This offer ends Friday, August the 4th, 2023. Today is Thursday, August the 3rd. This is week 2. We've offered this for 2 weeks, a free business assessment where you can take 10, 15 minutes with me over the phone or on a Zoom call, and I answer your questions to give you some perspective on what you need to do, where you need to go, and what it's going to take to make that happen. So you want to take me up on it, text holding. If not, I love you. I appreciate you. Over here, we make money, but we pray too. We praying for you. We wish you the best. We'll be back here tomorrow, Friday, same place, same time, 12 o'clock noon, right here on the Ramonepreston